Hi guys, for the next 2 days we are going to create this very simple rating system where we can rate images. So let's take a look at exactly what we are going to build. Over here I have a first image that I can rate and I'm going to put in 3 stars. Then we have a confirmation that we successfully rated this image with 3 stars, and let's get another one. Here we have the Andromeda galaxy, so maybe I'll give it a 5 star. And then I'll get another one. Here we have a New York taxi, and here I'm going to put in, let's say, 4 stars. And then if I press next, we have no images to rate. So this is another project on Django with JavaScript. Hope you guys enjoy it. It will be a 2-part tutorial. This is the first part. The second one will be released tomorrow. And I'm also planning to release this week the final part of the real-time crypto application and also the next part of the social network project in Django, where we will cover authentication. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy it. Without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, before we actually start to code, let's take a look at what have I done so far. And by the way, the entire project will be on GitHub. So first of all, I started a brand new project called starsproj, and inside, among others, we have settings.py file. This is the file which is opened. So let's take a look at some changes that I have done. So first of all, to the installed apps list, I added ratings. Ratings is an application that I started within this project, and we will do some work within ratings very soon. Then if we scroll down, we have templates, and over here I just told Django where to look for additional ones. I started a directory inside the SRC, and I named it according to the settings over here, templates, and inside I placed base HTML. And base HTML is the file that other templates will inherit from, and we will take a look at it very soon. So let's move down, because I also provided some settings for the static and media files according to the static files dirs and media root. I created 2 additional directories inside the SRC folder. So over here we have static, and here I have 2 empty files, main.js and style CSS. We will work on them soon as well. And also we have a media folder at the top, and this is the folder where we will keep our images that we want to rate. And then if we take a look at the URLs.py file, which is next to our settings.py file, we will notice that those settings for the static and media files have been included in the URL patterns. So I think right now we can focus on the base HTML, and this template is a modified version of the Bootstrap starter template. So first of all, I loaded static because we want to use our main.js and style CSS. So I created a separate section inside of the head, and I placed those links for the style CSS and the script for the main.js. Then if we move forward, I simply set up a title, and next to it a block title for template inheritance. Then inside the body we have our main div with a class container, so we want to have some spacing on the left and on the right, and a margin top 3. And inside we have block content. So finally we have some optional JavaScript, including jQuery, and this is very important. I deleted the slim version because we want to use ajax, and the slim version doesn't support ajax. And then I deleted everywhere the cross origin and the integrity. So oh yeah, I almost forgot, I also have font awesome, and this is from W3 schools. So you just need to type in how to star rating, and the first position, or one of the first positions, will be this site. And I just borrowed this particular link and I included it over here inside the base HTML. And we will also borrow some code for our stars. We will have to modify it, but we will simply copy it and we will also use this checked class. So I'm not going to close this page. I'm actually going to add it in the description so you can also open it up. And yeah, right now I think we've covered everything that I've done, or the most important things that I've done. So we can actually move to our ratings application and open up models.py file. And over here, let's create our class called rating, which inherits from models.model. And we will have over here two fields. So the first one is going to be image, and this is going to be an image field with an upload to images. So inside the media directory, we want to keep an images folder where all those images will be kept. And the next one is going to be score, and this is going to be a models integer field with a default value of 0. And this is very important because when we will rate a particular image, we will be able to rate it from 1 to 5. But if we have 0, that will mean that this image hasn't been rated yet, okay? And it will be simply displayed. We will write this logic once we get to the views. So for now, just keep in mind that this default value is very important for our logic that we are going to provide later on in the views.py. We can also provide some validators over here. So from the next line, I'm going to put in validators, and I'm going to open up a list. And over here, we need to do an import. So let me just fix this, and let's do this import from Django core validators. We want to import max, not max length, but max value validator and min value validator. So over here, I'm going to place them. Max value validator, and this is going to be 5, and then the min value validator is going to be 0. Okay, so I think we are done with the fields, so let's provide a string representation. And over here, let's just return str self pk. All right, so right now I'm going to save this. I'm going to go to the terminal, Python manage py make migrations, Python manage py migrate. Also for the image field, you'll need pillow, so pip3 install pillow. I already done it, but yeah, you will need it. So okay, I think we can run the server, Python manage py run server. And the one thing that we forgot to do is to head over to the admin, and over here from .models we want to import our rating, and let's register it very quickly. Admin site register rating. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and I'm going to head over to the administration. As you can see, I'm already logged in. You'll need to create a super user in order to log in, but I'm sure you know this. And let's press enter, and there is the rating. So right now we can actually add some objects. So I'm going to head over to Pixabay, and over here I'm just going to download 3 images. I'll start by typing Andromeda Galaxy, and I'm going to get this picture. Maybe in this dimension, doesn't really matter that much. Let's save it. Let's grab maybe something like New York, and let's maybe select this one, download, And let's do one more, maybe cars. I'm going to select this one, and I'm also going to download it. All right, so let's add some pictures, let's add some objects. I'm going to head to downloads and just select picture, save, and add another. Then select the next picture, save, and add another. And finally, let's select the taxis in New York and then save and add another one. So actually, right now we have 3 objects with the score of 0 because this is the default value that we have set, okay? And since we have those 3 objects that we are going to work on, we can actually move to our views.py file and create our first view. So I'm just going to do a simple function view, which I'm going to call main view, and this will take in a request. And over here, I'm going to return render and then pass in the request. Then we need to provide the template name. So we haven't created the templates directory just yet, but let's just put in ratings and then /main HTML. And then we will have a context dictionary created. So here I'm just going to open the context dictionary. It will be blank for now, but in order to provide the logic, we need to do an import of our model. So from .models, we want to import rating. And here I'm going to write down obj, and this is going to be rating, and then objects, and we want to filter by the 0, so by the score, which is 0. And as the next step, we want to have them in random order. So let's put in order by, and in quote marks, we need to put a question mark, and then we want to grab the first object. Okay, so this will give us a random picture, a random rating object that consists of an image and a score field, right? So as the next step, let's pass it to the template. So I'm just going to name this object. So this is what we will refer in the template. And to this object key, I'm going to assign obj value. All right. So we can go ahead and register this main view. And here we have some issue. Rating has no objects. I'm going to ignore this. I just got my computer back from the repair and I haven't done all the settings. So I'm going to ignore this error for now. And yeah, I hope there won't be any other problems. So I'm going to actually register the view that we have defined over here, and I'm going to head over to URLs.py. I'm going to do it directly over here. So from ratings views, we want to import the main view. And then let's put in path. And over here, main view. And let's provide the name is equal to main view, just like that. All right, so I'm going to save this and I'm going to head over to the ratings, open up templates directory, create a templates directory, and inside I'm going to put in ratings folder, and inside the ratings I'm going to finally create the main HTML. This main HTML will inherit from base HTML, so extends base HTML, and then let's put in the block title, and this is going to be score now or rate now, and then the block content, and here let's just put in hello world, Let's save this. Let's also jump into main.js, and over here I'm just going to console log hello world, so we can actually be sure that also the JavaScript is working, it's attached properly to our file. So I'm going to save it and then go to the main page, refresh, hello world, right click, inspect. Let's go to the console, and as you can see we have hello world as well. And in the meantime, I was able to get rid of this underline, which was giving us an error, or although there is no error. Okay, so right now everything is correct. And what I'm going to do next is to jump to main HTML, and we are going to work on our main template. So over here, I'm going to create a div class is equal to row, and I'm going to close it off and then indent this. And then over here, I'm going to create 2 columns. And maybe I'm going to add a class text center. So the content of those columns will be centered. And I'm just going to copy this. And yeah, the first column will be for the image. So over here, I'm going to put in an image img src, and this is related to the object that we are passing. So we want to go to object image URL, and let's give it a class of rounded, and let's also specify the width of 100%. Okay, and the alt will be, for example, image to rate. Okay, so this is for the image. Below we will have a button, but we won't add it just yet. So right now we can go to our W3 schools and copy this code and place it in the other column. And as mentioned before, we are going to adjust it in just a second. And also what we would like to do is to grab this checked class, okay? So each star with a checked class will have a different color, and we need to put it inside the style CSS. I'm going to change orange to red. I'm going to save this. I'm going to head over to main HTML, and I'm going to save this as well. So let's refresh. And as you can see, we have an image and we have some stars. So I'm going to hit refresh again, and we still have the same image. But then if I refresh it again, it's changed. So it's in random order, as you can see. And this is exactly what we wanted to achieve. The problem, yeah, there are several problems actually. And the stars are all black, although we have some classes over here applied. So I'm going to clear the cache, and there it is. So right now everything is working in terms of styling, but those stars are not too big. So let's make them a little bit bigger, and we can do this by applying an additional class. Just going to copy it and paste it everywhere. All right, so let's save this and let's see how this looks right now. It looks, in my opinion, much better. Okay, so right now what we can do is to add a break line, and below we will add another div with, actually it's going to be an ID, and I'm going to call this a confirm box. Over here what we are going to do is to simply set a confirmation message that we ranked this particular image with that many stars, okay? And I'm going to close it. So it's going to be empty. All the work is going to be done in the JavaScript. All right, and if we are still in the main HTML, let's also add this button. So I'm going to add another break line, and over here I'm going to put in a button with a class equal to btn primary. So this is going to be a blue button, and let's close it off. And I'm just going to put in over here next. And for this button to work, let's add a href, and let's just put over here our main URL. So this way we will have the same effect. URL, I didn't install the snippet, so I need to type in manually, unfortunately. URL, and we want to be taken to the main view. Okay, so if we save this right now, let's hit refresh, and there is the next button. So this break line didn't work. Let's put instead margin top 3, and there it is. Okay, so right now, as you can see, we get the same effect as refresh on the button click. All right, now let's imagine a situation that we rated all the images, we rated all our objects. What will happen over there? So maybe we would like to display some kind of a notification that there are no images left to rate. And in order to do this, I'm going to put an if block. So if object, and if this is the case, if there is an object to rate, we are going to grab this entire code and put it inside. And in other case, what we are going to do is to maybe display h1, no images to rate. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and I'm going to go to our admin, and over here I'm going to rate those objects 3, 3, and 3. Save, and then I'm going to hit refresh, and there it is, no images to rate. So this is working. So now I'm going to return to 0, save, and save, and save. Okay, so right now let's also add some IDs, because we all need to know which particular star we clicked. So I'm going to add an ID of first, an ID of second, ID of third, ID of fourth, and then ID of fifth. Okay, and we will need this right now because we are going to move to the JavaScript. So I'm going to save this, and let's open up our main.js. Over here, let's create maybe first of all a comment. So here we are going to get all the stars, and I'm going to create a constant 1, constant 2, constant 3, constant 4, and 5. And this is going to be document get element by ID, and the first is going to be first. Then let's copy this, paste it, and let's put in second, third, fourth, and fifth. All right, so we have our stars. So let's see if this is actually working. So I'm going to console log the 1. Okay, console log 1. Let's save this. Let's go back, refresh, and there it is. As you can see, we have the ID of first. Okay, perfect. So now what we need to do is to simply operate with this style CSS, with this checked class, because if we take a look at our main HTML again, over here we have checked for first 3 stars, and this is why we see those first 3 stars in red. If I copy checked and place it below for the 4th, we will see 4 stars in red. So what we want to do is whenever we hover on a particular star, we want to operate with this class. We want to add it or remove it. If we want to, for example, hover on the 2nd star, we should add the checked class to the 1st star, to the 2nd star, but we should be sure that it's removed from the 3rd, 4th, and the 5th. Okay, so this is again something that we need to take care of the main.js file, and I'm going to create a const r, and I'm going to put all those elements, all those stars in this array. So I'm going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is to use for each in order to loop through this array. So r for each, and then I'm going to select a single item, and I'm going to put over here a add event listener, and as mentioned before, it should be mouse over. And then we will have an event, and let's put in console log event target. So let's see what happens right now. I'm going to save this, hit refresh, and as you can see here we have 5th. Okay, but then if I go on the 1st, we have the 1st. Then if I go on the 3rd, we have the 3rd. Okay, so this is working, but we need to have an additional function that will help us simply remove or add the classes. So we will create such function. Let's do it over here. I'm going to call it maybe handle select, and we will do the longer version first, and then we will provide also an optimized version. So first of all, we have a function handle select, and we are passing the selection. So the selection will be the event target ID. Okay, so we will know the ID is 3rd, the ID is 1st, and so on. So we will know on which star we are hovering. So this is going to be the selection. And yeah, over here what we are going to do is to use a switch on the selection, and the first case is going to be 1st. So if the 1st is our selection, what do we want to do? We want to refer to the 1, and again this is the longer version, so we need to put in class list and then add, and we want to add checked, and then I'm going to copy this and paste it a few times, and then we will have 2, 3, 4, 5, and maybe for now I'm just going to put in a comment, longer version to be optimized. And if we are dealing with the 1st, that means only 1 star should be checked. So from the others we want to remove checked. Remove. Okay, so I'm going to grab this handle select, and I'm going to place it over here, and over here, instead of event target, we want to have event target ID. So I'm going to save this, hit refresh. Nothing is changing, but if I go to 1, as you can see, we have only 1 star. We only did the first case, so here nothing is changing, but if I move on 1, there it is. So we need to do another cases. So we want to take care of the second, and here instead of remove, we will have add. Let's copy this, and here we will have third, and instead for the 3, instead of remove, we want to put in add. Okay, and then fourth will be the 4th, and for the 4 we need to put in for the 3 as well, and for the 4 add as well. Okay, I'm going to copy this and fifth. Okay, and here we will have add. So now if I'm going to save this, refresh, and it doesn't work the way it should, because it's very important to also include return. Okay, so after each line, let's put in return. After each block, actually, let's put in return, return, and return. So let's save this right now, refresh, and as you can see, we have a working solution. But this solution isn't perfect. Our function is pretty long, and we will optimize it a little bit later, but then we still can't select our rate. If we click, nothing actually happens. So in order to do that, we need to actually go back to our main HTML, and yeah, what we are going to do over here is to simply create inside of this div a form. Yeah, and this is going to be a form with a class equal to rate form, and the action will be blank. The method will be set to post. So let's close it off at the bottom. And since we are dealing with a post request, post method, let's put in a CSRF token. And yeah, now what we need to do is to change the spans into buttons. Okay, so button, and it didn't work on the closing, so let me just do it really quick. Button, 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 and we need to provide everywhere a type submit. Okay, so type equals to submit. All right, so now if we save this, hit refresh, there it is. So this solution isn't the nicest one, because we have our stars in some weird frames. So what we can do is to go back to our Visual Studio Code, and what we need to do next is to simply open up our style CSS, and here we are going to create another class, and let's call this my BTN, and what we need to set is the background color, and let's set it to inherit, and let's set it to important, and let's also put in the border of 0, and let's also set it to important. So now I'm going to save this, and I'm just going to simply place this my BTN class everywhere inside of main HTML. So maybe I can place it over here. And yeah, let's save this. Let's hit refresh. Let's clear the cache, Command Shift R, and there it is. So everything is working the way it should, but right now we can actually click on those stars. So we are pretty close to finishing our project. Maybe not very close, but definitely closer than further. So we can actually go to our main.js file, and yeah, let's grab the other elements that are necessary for this project. So over here we have all the stars, but we also need the form, we also need the confirm box, and we also need the CSRF token. So let's begin from the form. And this is going to be document get, actually not by ID, but this is we are going to get it by class. So query selector, and rate form was the name. So here we have our form, and then we want to grab the confirm box, and this is going to be document get element by ID confirm box. And finally we have our CSRF. So again, let's create a constant CSRF, and this is going to be document get elements by name, and over here we need to put in CSRF middleware token. So let's see if we actually didn't make any mistakes. So I'm going to do some console logs. Console log form, console log the confirm box, and console log CSRF. Let's save this. Let's hit refresh. And here is our form. Here is our confirm box, and here we have a node list. So our CSRF token is at the very bottom. If we take a look at the value, here is our token. Okay, so this is working. So maybe as the next step, let's make an optimized version for this handle select. So in order to do that, we'll need another function, and I'm just going to call it handle star select, and this will take in some size, and I'm going to explain everything in just a second. So over here we have some cases: first, second, third, and so on. So the size will be the quantity of stars. So in the case first, we will pass in 1, and in case 2 we will pass in 2, okay, and then 3, 3, and so on. You get the idea. Here let's create a variable called children, and this will refer to the form children. And we are going to, maybe before we actually do this, let's take a look at those children. So I'm going to console log children, and I'm going to put in this handle star select. I'm just going to pass in 2 maybe for now. We just want to see the children, and I'm going to hit refresh, and here are our children. So our children are our buttons, okay? First, second, third, fourth, fifth, okay? So let's put in here 3, okay? So we should grab the third element right now. Let's see if this will work. And what do you know? We have third. So if we pass 4, we should have fourth, okay? So this is very important, because right now what we can do is to get rid of this console log, and create a for loop. So let's put in for let I is equal to 0. Then we want to put in I smaller than the children length, and we want to increment I. And then we will need some kind of a if block, because we want to check if the I is smaller or equal to the size that we have over here that we are passing. And if this is the case, what we need to do is to access those children and access the class list, because we need to add the checked class. Okay, so let's put in checked. And in other case, we need to do exactly the same thing, but instead of adding, we will be removing. Remove checked. Okay, so right now I'm going to copy this handle star, and I'm going to get rid of, actually for the first case over here, I'm just going to comment it out, and I'm going to put in handle star select and pass in 1. And then I'm just going to copy this, paste it over here, but I'm going to delete for the second, and here we just need to pass in 2 since we are dealing with the second case. Delete entire case third, pass in the handle star select 3, and over here let's put in handle star select 4, and over here handle star select 5 and return. I think we forgot about the return. Okay, so I'm going to save this, hit refresh, and as you can see, this is working perfectly fine. So I think the rating we will cover in the next part, which will be much shorter. But for now, what we can do is to handle a situation where we will have, for example, all the ratings. So to each object, I'm adding a score. And then if I refresh, we have no images to rate, but here we also have some nasty looking error. And in order to prevent it, we can actually make an if statement over here, and I'm just going to put in if1. So if we have the first star, we don't need to check if other stars exist. It's if the first one exists, the other exists as well. If the first one's not there, the other ones are not there as well. So over here, I'm just going to grab this code and put it inside. And now I'm going to save this, hit refresh, and we still seem to have this handle star select. Here everything should be okay. This is just a function. Here we have console log 1, and maybe console log 1 and handle star select are the problem. So I'm going to delete them, save this, hit refresh, and the error is gone. And then in the next video, we will continue working on this part, on this block where if 1 is true, and we will be able to rate the images without having the page to be reloaded. We will also see a confirmation that we rated this image with, for example, 3 stars, 4 stars, and so on. So I think this is it for this part. Tomorrow I will publish the second one. As mentioned before, it will be a lot shorter. So yeah, hope to see you guys over there. Have a great day. Take care and bye-bye.